Hola Sebastián, ¿estás por ahí?
Hola George.
Very good to hear from you, Sebastián.
Déjame. Ahí sí. Hola,
Good.
hola.
Good. By the way, the session is being transmitted in YouTube, so you know.
Should we start to speak in English?
Yes, of course. This is an international session, so we expect to speak in English. That's good. Just in case, in the chat section, put in the link in YouTube in case you want to transmit the link to your colleagues. Right, so we are live YouTube and this is very nice because I'm using my account from University of Liverpool, so I receive emails with the link of the YouTube session, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
I already see the live of the session that you made before.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for the people coming. Emilio, hi Emilio, how are you doing? Your microphone.
Hello, good morning. How are you? Thank you.
Very
Thank you
good.
very much for your excellent
thanks for
work.
you to be here. Arturo, how are you there? How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi Arturo. Just we're waiting a few minutes till everybody will arrive. We're just waiting for a few people. So hi, ciao Arturo.
Good morning, Arturo.
You know, for some reason, I just got customized to say ciao Arturo. I cannot say hello Arturo.
Ciao.
I need to say ciao Arturo.
Ciao.
I just got customized to it.
Va bene, va bene.
So we're waiting for a few people. Jonathan Rushton, Elizabeth Kerr, Susana Mariana. Susana, are you there? Thomas? Hi, Susana.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Thomas. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good. Good to hear from you. Hi, Jonathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for coming to this session.
Pleasure.
So we are waiting for... As I said, as you know, I put in the chat the link to YouTube. We are transmitting direct in YouTube in case you want to share that link to other experts. We're just missing Elizabeth Kerr. Seb, can you call her? Maybe
Okay,
she just got mixed.
And I suppose that Constanza and Gabriel, they're coming too?
I presume I didn't receive their confirmation, but
okay.
if Elizabeth may join, will be amazing.
Okay, give me a second.
Then we can start the session. So.
Hospitalario. Estamos incorporando adicionalmente nuevas
Gabriel, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Hello,
yeah, hello Gabriel, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good everything. I don't know if guten Tag or guten Morgen.
Good afternoon.
Let's say good afternoon, good late afternoon, about to be evening at some point.
Jorge, I sent a message to Elizabeth, but maybe Gabriel know about her.
Yes, we are missing Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, I will send her a WhatsApp.
Okay, she's the only one missing, and then we can join. So I'm glad to see we have a nice team today talking. We have people from University of Liverpool, the UK, University of La Plata, Argentina, Ministry of Agriculture of Chile, Alcia from Italy, and BTI from France. So Brittany. So we are Rennes, if I can be more precise. Javier La Huerta, of course, from Fedacova. So we have a nice team for having a nice conversation in agri-food topics today. So, okay. Right, so give me just a second. I'm preparing one thing. Give me a second. Just to see. So, okay, so I'm going to write in the chat section a link I would like you to access. Right, and there is a code. It's going to ask you 5327, which is 57 24. Right, so I would like to kindly ask you that link to you access menti.com, and the code is 532724. So the idea is that during this session, we are going to try to capture the keyword of this conversation. So you will be asked to put some keywords. So the idea is that by the end of the session, we will see what are the keywords affecting the topic that we're going to discuss. So on behalf of the Ruc-Aps project, I would like to welcome you all to this Agri-Food session. The topic that we select for this session is how we can integrate current Agri-Food challenge to global uncertain requirements, basically, right? Of course, the source of uncertainty that is most known nowadays, of course, is climate change. But now exactly today is about COVID-19. But there are many other sources of uncertainty, as you know, in regulations, policy making, regulation, price, culture, and so on. So the key topic that we are trying to discuss today is how we can cover all those challenges from the food safety and new breeding techniques in order to cope with all this new challenge. I would like to also, I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you, so we can present and introduce ourselves in the order of the session. So where is this? Here, right? So Gabriel, do you know if Elizabeth is going to join us to the session? Oh, she's too busy. You're mute. I'm going to. Gabriel, your microphone is off, by the way.
Good. Thank you.
Fine.
Elizabeth, I called her, but she was busy on the phone.
Okay.
So if she can join us,
she can join us later. That's fine.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. Right. So I would like to ask you, Arturo, if you can introduce yourself. Arturo Caponero.
I'm Arturo. I'm working to Alsia, the local agency of Basilicata region, Italy, in the south of Italy. And my matter is plant pathology and integrated pest management. My second activity is dissemination on agriculture matters, in particular in integrated pest management.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jonathan Rushton. I'm based at the University of Liverpool, where I lead a centre on sustainable food systems, which Jorge is a part of. And I'm also part of the N8 Agri-Food programme, which covers the research-intensive universities in the north of England. My key research interests are really around the livestock sector, how we improve the livestock sector from a sort of food safety perspective. How do we measure things like losses in production due to disease and animal health problems? And how do we do that through a food system which is becoming increasingly complicated? Thank you.
Okay. Sebastian, are you there?
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm Sebastian from Chile. I'm the head of the Laboratory of Pesticide Residues. My work is related to food safety and to measure different risks related to the food production. Currently, we are working with a health risk assessment due pesticide residues. And our institution, we are working to support the decision-making process of different institutions that belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture. Especially to improve the national food system in different regions, and for the national production and for the exportation of many commodities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susana, can you do this yourself?
Now it's on. Well, my name is Susana Gamboa. I work in the National University of La Plata. I'm professor in horticulture in the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry Science. Our research group is involved especially in sustainable technologies, especially applied on horticultural crops, so as to reduce the impact on environment and human health, and also to help producers to introduce in a certification process, such as those, many of you know that we work in best practice in agriculture. This is one of our goals, to introduce producers in this kind of processes, so as to work on innocuousness, of final products, because we have identified that it's a strong concern of our population, our national population. And our region, which is the peri-urban region of La Plata, is one of the main regions to provide fresh vegetables to metropolitan population. We also work in another certification process, but with the same goals. Hello to everyone.
Thank you, Susana. Mariana, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Mariana Del Pino. I work with Susana in the National University of La Plata, in the Faculty of Agricultural Science and Agricultural and Forestry Science. And I'm engaged in horticulture since 30 years ago, and we work especially in biological control and good agricultural practices.
Thank you very much, Mariana. I see that Elizabeth has just arrived. Elizabeth, are you there? Oh, she left, I think. She just left. Rina, are you there?
Yeah, sorry to be late,
no worries,
but
Rina.
I was busy with another phone call, very urgent, so I could
Don't
not
worry at all.
earlier.
Yeah, so can you introduce, because we are introducing all ourselves, so can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, yes. My name is Rina Iannacone. I'm leading the molecular biology and biochemistry group in the research center Metapontum Agrobios in Ovalsia. I've been working in Agrobios since 1988, a lot of time ago. And my interest is mainly in biotechnology. I worked for a lot of time on trying to obtain plants that are tolerant to biotic and abiotic stress. And recently, in the last, let's say, 15 years, I'm involved in producing and extraction of valuable compounds from plants for pharmaceutical and nutraceutical applications. And I worked a lot on GMO, genetic modified organism, and now to improve tolerance to biotic and abiotic stresses. And now I'm also using the new biotechnology techniques such as CRISPR-Cas in order for the same applications to obtain valuable compounds in plants.
Thank you very much, Rina. Elizabeth, are you there now?
I'm here.
Hi, Elizabeth. Can you introduce yourself to the panel, please?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Kerr from Chile, south of Chile. I work in the National Research Institute, INEA, in horticultural crops, and especially in agronomy, and some things in planification farms. And I am the director of the INEA Carillanca Center in Temuco, Chile. It's a pleasure for me to stay here today.
Thanks. You very much, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. Emilio, you would like to introduce yourself?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Emilio Ruz. I'm working for the Agricultural Research Institute of Chile, INEA, and actually I'm in charge of the international affairs units, and also I'm the director of the Regional Research Center in La Platina, in INEA. My experience is in the area of soil science, and during the last 10 years, maybe I was working in the area of management. I worked many years for the Inter-American Institute for Agriculture Cooperation, administrating a consortium of agricultural research centers in Latin America. And now I'm promoting a lot of consortium of research between private and public sector in Chile and in other countries in Latin America. Also, I'm participating in the board of the director of the Fontagro. Fontagro is a Latin American fund for finance agriculture projects for cooperation among different countries in Latin America. I'm very pleased to be participating in this project now, and I think this has been a very interesting experience for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emilio. I see also that Marta Alfaro is with us. She's the head of research of INEA, National INEA. Are you there, Marta?
Yes, morning, afternoon, everyone. Nice to
Hi, Marta.
see you and to meet you all. Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to share views on the relationship between the agri-food sector and climate change, a very key issue for everyone.
Thank you very much, Marta. Javier La Huerta, are you there from FEDACOVA?
Yes, Javier? I'm here. I'm here.
Can you introduce yourself so people can know who you are?
I'm Javier Lahuerta. I'm the project officer of Fedacova for a European project. And we are here because we are trying to improve all our methodologies and promoting innovation for the startup and enterprises. And we think it's a good idea to start here to promote it, to learn from here.
Thank you very much, Javier. And Thomas from VDI, Lorraine.
Hello. Yeah.
Hi, Thomas.
Thank you to be part of that. And so I'm Thomas Lane. I'm in charge of a European project at Bretagne Développement Innovation, which is the regional development agency. And we are currently working on the agriculture and agri-food innovation project crossed with the digital technology in Brittany. And the main goal of our projects are to foster innovation in the agri-food sector and agriculture sector in order to improve sustainability, safety, and predictive maintenance and prediction in that field. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. Much appreciated. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Right, so I think that we have introduced all of us at the moment for this panel. So I would like to, before we start, because it's very important that we capture your input during this session, in the chat section, I put a link which is called menti.com. So if you can access that link, you will be required to introduce a few keywords. So the idea of that particular section is that we are going to see which are the most keywords that are useful for our topic. So I'm going to actually put that. So if you put that, let me see if I can. So 53, 27, 24. So 53, 27, 24. You will see that you will get to put a few inputs. So in this case, for instance, I will say, I put one example, so you will see what I'm talking about. So I put, for instance, agri-food. I put, let's say, climate change, for instance. Maybe it could be talk about food safety. Let's say economy, for instance, and value chain, for instance. So when you submit that, what we will see, I'm going to share my screen here. So basically, those are the keyword that I put just to start the conversation. But as long as the conversation moves along, more keywords might be appearing or might be coming to your mind once we discuss this topic. So it will be very grateful if you can introduce your keyword. So then by the end of the session, we can then see what was the result in terms of what are the most keywords that cover this agri-food challenge in global uncertainty. So I'm going to leave the screen share for a moment, so then you can see more or less what is the evolution. So considering the order of the agenda, I would like to proceed as we did in the previous panel. So basically, I would like to ask to Elizabeth Kerr first, then Arturo, then Jonathan, then can join Rina and so on, to talk about this very controversial topic nowadays, which is about uncertainty in this agri-food environment, which is very global. As we know, until let's say December, more or less, the challenge was how we can be more global, isn't it? So connecting the local business with the global environment, so how we can be full interconnected. But what happens is that we are facing nowadays one of the major sources of uncertainty, which is the COVID-19, which is basically preventing us from doing totally the opposite, right? Not being global, but also be as much local as possible. Therefore, we can prevent the spread of this virus, just to mention something. But also in some of our previous conversations with other experts, especially from the agri-food sector, agricultural sector, we also discovered that such a level of illnesses are not new because they are also present in different type of plants. But of course, plants never complain, plants never say anything. So, but when the human being is attacked by such a certain virus, it seems that the world is ending. But it seems that all these viruses has been around the world since always. And we just took a look at them in certain moments in time when they're really affecting us. But we don't really care sometimes when they affect the plants, except for the agronomy point of view. So the question or the topic that we want to know is that how we can really integrate the agri-food challenge with the global uncertainty challenge in a way to become more efficient and become more resilient. The purpose of this conversation is just to be as much casual possible. So we discuss in a very friendly manner, and then if anybody would like to jump in the conversation, please do, and then we start a panel discussion. So Elizabeth, you have been picked to be first to tell us what do you think that are the challenge to connect this agri-food with this global challenge in the current situation that we are living nowadays. Elizabeth, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes.
Can
so
you
can
hear
you
me?
tell us? Yes. Tell us your view about this, and then we start with the next panel members. Elizabeth?
Please, can you repeat the question, George? Can you repeat, please, George? I can understand. I can hear you. Okay.
Yeah, you're totally right, because I put my microphone in mute. I'm very sorry.
I know.
Sorry. I was speaking to nobody. I'm sorry. Yes, how do you see that we can cover the current challenge in agriculture production systems in order to integrate them to the global challenge, for instance, climate change, COVID-19, regulations? How do you think that we can support the current agriculture production systems to be more or to integrate them with this current global challenge in general?
Can I answer in Spanish? You can translate.
Of course, yes. If you want to do you answer in Spanish, I can do that in English for you.
Okay. Nosotros hemos trabajado en la cadena de valor de la horticultura en Chile y hemos integrado una serie de elementos agronómicos y elementos técnicos dentro del trabajo que hicimos en la cadena de valor.
Okay, so we are working on many solutions to understand how the agriculture value chain works, especially to support the integration of new technology systems.
Entonces, para eso integramos elementos climáticos, elementos de suelo, elementos de nutrición, disponibilidad de agua, cálculos de rendimiento, agronomía, todo eso en un paquete, ¿no es cierto?, para poder responder a las necesidades, los requerimientos.
Okay, so in order to do this integration, the idea of this value chain decision support system tools to provide a solution to those challenges, some variables are being considered, such as climate, soil, nutrition, water, yield, and agronomy requirements. Therefore, all of them together can provide an integrated view for understanding or providing a better solution to those global challenge. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Arturo, what you can tell us about this? Arturo, Caponero?
Yes. I'm trying to come back in the Metimeter because I figured out for mistake. Can I come back in Metimeter? I'm trying. It's hard for me. Maybe it's better ask someone and give some my opinion. Anyway, my work is basically on field and in a very small area in a local region. Climate change and uncertainty is a big problem. Not only climate change, but the uncertainty is rising in agriculture. For economic system, for example, often the availability of crops, of products of orchards, for example, are changing very quickly on the market. So people, farmers, made stronger, spend a lot of money and for cultivation for many years, for orchards, for example. But quickly the market condition is changing, and they must try new crops again. So it's quite hard the programmation in agriculture. That's all for the moment. Can you understand me? Can you listen me?
Yes, thank you, Arturo. Can you repeat the last part because there was some kind of a noise? Yes.
I tried to explain my mind.
Yeah.
The uncertainty in agriculture is rising, not only for climate change, but even for the market that is crazy sometimes. And for farmers that are crops like orchards, it's really hard to planify their cultivation, because if you plant a new orchard, you have to wait so many years, and the market condition could change quickly.
Yep. Thank you very much, Arturo.
Thank you.
Yep. Jonathan, can you tell us your opinion?
Thank you. Thank you, Jorge. I'll come at it from perhaps a perspective of my own perspective, which is basically around the kind of livestock sector, which I've spent most of my life looking at. If we look over the last 20 or 30 years, there's been an increasing tendency for major pathogens to be released from those livestock sectors. So we've had probably a major event once every 2 or 3 years for the last 20 years. That's led to the emergence of things like new strains of influenza viruses. So we've had a major human pandemic probably about 10 years ago from that particular part, but we've had various influenza strains in the poultry sector, which have caused quite a lot of difficulties in terms of actually doing business, and also huge costs in terms of managing and controlling disease issues. COVID is just one of 3 coronaviruses that have appeared out of the livestock food sector in the last probably 10 years. It's probably the most dramatic, not necessarily because of the disease, but because of the way we've responded to it. And I think our unwillingness to learn lessons from what's going on from the food sector is actually quite debilitating. So actually making change and understanding how to manage risk and improve how we do things is actually quite important. I'm interested that as a group, that we've taken the view that food safety is critical. It depends what we mean by food safety. I think food safety has been well managed in many different situations. We've adopted pretty widely risk analysis in food systems from a sort of government perspective, and I think from the private perspective, we've actually adopted things like asset control pretty widely. So we can manage food safety better. I think where we've got problems with food safety, it's in the emerging economies, where the food systems are struggling to adapt to the growing number of people in urban centers, the wealth of those people, and actually managing food in slightly different environments where we've got poor access to sanitation and hygiene and cold storage facilities. So I think there's kind of two worlds for me. There's one where we've had a lot of investment in very good management of food systems, and we've got another world where there's actually a real underinvestment in terms of things that actually make things different and improve things overall. And unfortunately, we can't avoid the fact that those food systems with poor investment in hygiene, sanitation, disease management, are actually the ones that could create problems for us in the future. I think COVID-19 is just an example of that at this stage. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. So, Sebastian, can you tell us your opinion?
Yeah, Jorge, I agree with the comments of Jonathan that under this scenario, there are many factors that are affecting the food production in each country. We see that under the pandemic, health and food are the primary necessity of the people. And of course, we know that the market and the international and national market are very necessary to keep the balance in the societies. And in this moment, I think food safety is one of the priorities because we see that with one virus, we can impact many populations around the world. So we know that the climate change is affecting the behavior of the pest or disease in the crops, but this is a multifactorial situation, and we know that the government, we know that the producer, we know that consumers, we need to try to keep the balance to produce more food, but under all these uncertainties and risk related to all the situation that currently we are trying to face in the agriculture and in each society.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. That's very useful. Susana Gamboa, opinions. Susana?
Yes, I am here. Well, I agree with Sebastian and Jonathan about this difficult moment. I think, and mainly Latin America in this moment is one of the more difficult places to evaluate any route to access to the clarify what Agri-Food can offer. More in certain places like Argentina. In Argentina, we were in the first steps according to lower the impact of technologies in all in different ways in human health, in food innocuousness. Now we have the first protocols for farmers for COVID-19. And farmers don't know how to implement them because they are mostly immigrants, they don't understand clearly what's the situation they have to overcome. So in this moment, especially, at least in Argentina and Buenos Aires surroundings, it's a very difficult moment. I think that perhaps in some months we will be in different situations so as to see a bit more clear what can this situation may carry us. I don't know if it is clear.
Yes, thank you, Susana. Thank you. I'm making my notes actually. Mariana. Mariana del Pino.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Mariana.
Yeah, really, it's a big. I'm wondering. I will change the English word. Really, it's very strange, the situation with the COVID-19, because we have to be aware, be so a good behavior, I mean, in each local place, but the virus is imported in a way. Now it's global, but we have all the same problem from a virus imported from another country very far from us. And as Susana said, it's a big problem with the disinformation in these kind of countries like Brazil and Argentina, because people, for the people, is very strange to try to do all the protocol with the washing hands, not touch each other. For us, it's very difficult not to share mate, for example. And it's really strange because we can work the agriculture sector because we have to feed the country, but it's very difficult to maintain the protocols. And well, we are very worried really in this moment. We are in the another thing, because I think that a lot of some behaviors in the production, some practices, we have to adopt it before. And now, we, in general, producers don't know how to do.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Rina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Thank you.
Just a few seconds to switch on my camera and microphone. Yes, it's. I think that COVID-19 changed a lot our way to look to globalization and to the agriculture. I think that there is a change in the attitude of consumers towards products that that they find towards agriculture or food products, because I mean, we realized that there is it's important also to focus and to force the internal product and the internal production of foods. And because globalization in the last years was seen as a solution, but I think that now we are reconsidering everything. And also, it is an uncertainty that it's over the uncertainty of the climate change. I mean, there are now it's the market or the perception is that there is much more uncertainty. And of course, I think that we need to focus a huge effort on research and on the selection or on the building of new varieties that are tolerant to the climate change, for instance, even here in Italy, I see that we are experiencing, not in this period, but in for instance, last year, we experienced a lot of very events that were not common in past years. So I mean, the climate change is it's really going. We cannot stop it. I mean, probably we can slow down if at a political level they are going to take some to do something to slow down the climate change, but I'm sure we cannot block it. So what we can do is to try to obtain varieties, plants that can face this change, this climate change. And then one more thing that I think it's very important is to change a little bit in the food chain. We have a lot of revenues that are in some part of the chain, but not for farmers, for the first part of the chain, for the production. And so, for instance, fruits and vegetables are the price of fruits and vegetables is often is very low, and this does not allow to have revenues for farmers, or to have enough revenues for farmers and to pay in a good way also people that are working in the agriculture. So I think that an effort should be made in redistributing the revenues in all chain in order to share the benefits for everyone.
That's certainly very interesting to talk about sharing the revenues and benefit to everyone. I think that is something that we should consider totally.
Considering also that usually in the agricultural fields, there are a lot of immigrants or poor people that are really paid with very, very low salaries. And so I think that, acting, paying a better salary in this part of the chain can improve also the quality of the whole chain.
Yeah, that's correct. I would like to ask you, Gabriel, can you continue, please? Gabriel Saavedra. You need to unmute your microphone. Otherwise, we cannot hear you.
I know. I have discovered that. Okay, I think this challenge is an opportunity for the agriculture sector, really, because we will have a lot of different approaches from famine in some continents. We know that. We used to know that before of the COVID-19. So the bigger uncertainty in this moment for myself, my ideas, is the lack of food in the next 1-2 years, because these social distances, the countries are stopped all the factories, or most of the factories. So there will be a lack of money, lack of resources for buying food, and also it's the value chain will be cut in some places. Will not be as we used to have that nice chain in the before, where every step was completely necessary for the next step. Actually, I think there are steps that are, how do you say the chain lock? No, lock candado. What's the name of the,
what you want to say?
Las cadenas, eslabones de las cadenas, ¿cómo se dice? Bueno, doesn't matter. The pieces of the chain, each pieces of the chain I think is cut actually. So our challenge now as agronomists, as people on the food chain, is to know how to produce more food and more rich food with a lot of more nutritive elements for the next 2 years under this uncertainty, what it will be happen in the next month, perhaps. That's my idea, Jorge.
Perfect, got it. Thank you. Thomas from Rennes. Can you tell us your opinion, BTI, you?
Well, the current situation has shown us that the people have changed their habit of consumption for sure. I would say in France, for example, people were mostly cooking at home and everything, so it changed the demand and the value chain in agri-food industry and in agriculture. And so this is something we have to take into account, and I think most of the people is now aspiring to more healthy production and products. And also that this current situation puts the light, at least in France, on the scarcity of the working force employed in the agriculture sector. So during the quarantine, some people had to volunteer in farms to produce at the best rate. So this is something quite new, and also we have to take into account. And there is mostly a double constraint. So this is the increasing demand, so the quantity, but also the increasing quality demands on production. So as far as we are also a development agency in Brittany, we can see that there is in public policy, I mean, the necessity of taking into account the citizen involvement and the healthy concerns from the citizens, and it can be it can match some other initiatives that were explored before the current situation. I would say local loops, like local production, and the relation between the agriculture sector and the agri-food sector. So that's to say the whole value chain, in fact. So the local loop, but also the food waste reduction. This is something we have to tackle in this situation, and even more with the climate change, the global change, but also the difficulty to find the working force and the labor. So I think there is a huge opportunity for new technologies and digital to tackle or to try to be complementary to these challenges. For example, with local loop, we can use big data management. For food waste, there are many technologies using spectrometry, spectroscopy that are rising in agri-food, but also in agriculture. And this is very, very interesting, and some effort from the Commission is put on that in many projects. And also on the scarcity of the working force, and to I would say facilitate the working conditions, because there are less people inclined to do that job nowadays, and to avoid or to prevent say delocalization. This is something we can work on, cobotics, and trying to improve the relation with the robots in agriculture, but also in agri-food. And this is something like we have to deal with the social structures, and this is sometimes difficult to manage, with also the loss of jobs it can result from those technologies. But we have to be balanced, and to make the most out of the new technologies, but also the social structures. I guess.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I would like to continue with Emilio Ruth from India. Hi, Emilio.
Hi. Okay. Well, first, I would like to mention that the agriculture historically has been working under risk and uncertainty, especially if we compare with other sectors of the economy. Agriculture is more prepared, I think, to work under high level of risk. But now, in this moment, maybe I think we have three big challenges that put the agriculture sector in a big problem. Well, first of all, climate change, that was for the last 15 years, maybe 10 or 15 years, in the center of our preoccupation, at least here in Chile and in other countries in Latin America. But now with the COVID, and also with the associated economical crisis, I think the agriculture will be in a big problem, unless for the short and medium term. Because of the COVID and also the economical crisis, and also because of the suspended or limited logistic service, the agriculture production maybe will be reduced during the next season. Next production season will be reduced in certain way, according to how we how will be affected by these 3 points: COVID, economic crisis, and logistic limitation for managing all the insume and also the products. And in all this challenge, I think most of the solution, or how the farmers will confront this problem, should be site specific. it's very difficult to have a general rules. Maybe each type of farming, each region, each ecological area will look for more site-specific activities to solve their own problem. And in that point of view, I think that the knowledge available, for example, most of the information that we are looking in this project could be very important to get that site-specific solutions. But also the associated challenge of these things is how we can transform or how we can utilize most of this knowledge to facilitate the life of the farmers. And maybe there is a big gap in all that difference between the knowledge available in this moment to work more site-specific with the problem of the farmer, and also how we can transform that information for the facilitating the life and the developing of the farmers. The other comment that I would like to mention is historically also, we know that in any economical crisis that has been affected our country, unless here in Latin America, the agriculture sector is the first sector that we can contribute for the recovery of the country economy. So from that point of view, I think we have experienced that this sector have a good capability to respond when the condition began to improve. And finally, I would like to comment that with all this crisis, especially in countries like Chile, which we have a small country with very low amount of land for agriculture, and with an agriculture oriented principally for export, I think the challenge is to continue with that process of being more in the global market of the production, but also now there is a high high perception that the local production should be more relevant. Normally, most of the statement and also the vision of the government and also the businessman is what that the Chilean agriculture was only for the export, but now in this crisis, the local production got a very good position, especially because the food and the food chain in this crisis is one of the vital part for the development of the economy. Therefore, I think we need to think about, we need to get a lot of responsibility in try to understand all this problem and put all our capacity for solve this big problem that is in this moment affecting most of the countries of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emilio. I would like also to see if Marta Alfaro can tell us your opinion from the research direction of INEA. How do you see that these new trends or challenge, how this is going to be planned to be covered? Is there any thoughts?
Thank you. Before that, I think I would like to highlight the opportunities this crisis represents for the sector. I agree with all the challenges that different colleagues have mentioned, but I think also in particular COVID-19 has highlighted the great relevance the agri-food sector has for society, which was something that it wasn't that obvious for everyone. I think people living in big cities is not necessarily aware of where food is coming from. And this crisis has highlighted the role and the relevance of this activity worldwide. I think as well that linking it with climate change, I think in both cases there is a strong efforts should be made to create more resilient local food chain systems. I think resilience is a key word here as well, because either for a pest, for a disease that affecting crop production, but as well as human, I think we need to create more resilient systems, and local production, as several colleagues have mentioned, has recovered some position in comparison to export and globalization, as it was the years previous to this pandemic. So after this situation, as we move forward to the next or the coming months, I think there will be a lot of discussion about local knowledge, the position of local production, the strength or how to strengthen local production chains, and how to create a mix in these productive systems to make them more resilient, not only as a response to health crisis around the world, or how this COVID-19 situation will develop over the next couple of years, but as well as a response to climate change, for instance. As we have more diverse local systems, the resilience will be greater, and we will be in a better position to face the challenges ahead. So as long as there are challenges, I think there are also opportunities. And I think for a research institute, we should focus in the opportunities. That's where the big challenge is, because we need to see ahead. That's the responsibility for a research institution, is being able to look ahead of what will be happening 10, 15 years ahead of what farmers are needing today, as well as providing direct answers for the actual needs. So I think this pandemic has created a new scenario that we didn't foresee before. And I think we can divide the challenges probably in the short term and long term challenges for a research institution. In the short term is how you use the current knowledge to provide immediate and direct answer for farmers, how to provide, as several colleagues were mentioning, how to provide protocols to work in the field under different conditions, how to implement our extension services, avoiding physical contact or physical meetings, using the new platforms, the e-learning platforms, understanding that in particular in small holders, the access to internet and to communication on a web, it's limited. So maybe we need to go back to old-fashioned extension or dissemination alternatives, like using the radio, for instance, which is something we have done, or creating system for specialists to be able to answer direct questions from farmers through photographs, for instance, from diseases. And you have seen in different presentations from our colleagues, systems that work in the web for that purpose, but also in this new situation, how do we answer more frequent and direct questions from farmers? How do we provide advice if they are not able to carry out this specific management at this time because of the situation? Well, what can they do? How do they manage the next season, for instance, as Emilio was saying? What will happen with next season production? That will be in the short term. And in the long term, I think we need to look more into society. In many cases, the work of a research institute like ours, which is advocate for agricultural systems, we mainly focus in the technical issues associated to agriculture, so agri-food production. And we tend to forget the social implications of our decisions, even of the research we carried out. So I think the incorporation of social issues associated to the adoption of technologies from one side, as well as the the value and the ethical implication of the results we provide, and how are they implemented, or the impact they will have in the complete food chain in the future. That's something we need to evaluate more closely and incorporate in a more organized and systematic manner in our plans. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I got very interested about one of the comments from Marta, which is about to share local knowledge. So, as we know, one of the challenge for any food system, either coming from horticulture, fruit, livestock, dairy farming, or seafood, the key challenge is how we can shorten the supply chains, right? Therefore, we can make very efficient this concept about from farm to fork. So I would like to make an open question to all of you about considering the current uncertainty because we have a new one, isn't it, which is COVID-19, but we had previously climate change. Previously, we have other policy making related uncertainty. So how do you see that this concept of from farm to fork, which is the very traditional, efficient concept in food systems, can be better understood from the breeding point of view, from the food safety point of view, from the economy point of view, from the research point of view? So who would like to jump in and give a comment on that? Anyone can be.
I will try to say, yes, hello. Well, I wanted to ask the panel more or less the same question, but about the demand from the consumers. Because now, at least here in Argentina, but I think in Europe is the same, the consumers are demanding mainly, because it's what I know, organic food, or they prefer organic food now, because I think they are relating organic food with more safety food, with traceability and more safety. So I wanted to ask the panel this. If we think that for the future after the COVID-19, I mean, we will try to work in more sustainable practices in the agriculture sector. I wanted to say another thing. I think that in Europe, these days, maybe 3 days before, the European Union, have a committee trying to promote this some things to reduce pesticides in 50%. And to promote organic agriculture in 25%, I think. I don't know, maybe you know more about it, with the same name that you are using, from food to fork, I think. Well, this it's another question, or is more the same?
No, it's fine. It's basically because we're looking at how to deal with the demand. Yes. Exactly. Because, for instance, one of the issues that we notice is that in some countries, there is no issues with having food available. It's more about how do we access the food. So, because one of the thoughts when we talk about value chains is that, oh my God, we have this pandemic, we have these issues, there will be no food. Actually, what happens is that it's not that it's not food, it's that people is losing their jobs and they are not having enough money to buy their food. at some point in some countries. Luckily in the UK, for instance, if we talk about the particular case of the UK, we are seeing a lot of people, well, not sure if this name is people, companies, restaurants, supermarkets, and so on, but there is a high level of new loans requests for additional budget in order to maintain the business circulating. Therefore, this is a mean that in this agricultural world, the Bank of England now is struggling a little bit, right, in order to know exactly what is going to happen in the next month, because we have been able to cope with the situation very well in the UK, but is a few months later ahead, some companies, when they are not going to be able to pay their bills, they're going to struggle, and then we are going to go back to the same situation where we were in, where we're not able to access food again. So we have a farmer able to produce food, with no issue. Well, not too many issues, I would say, but we have the person that are not able to buy the food. So which is very interesting. Actually, with Jonathan Rushton the other day, we have been discussing that something similar happened in India, like 50 years ago, something like that, isn't it, Jonathan? Jonathan, are you there? You left.
I am. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that collapse of demand is actually really important. It's not just about producing food; it's actually having money in the right places. So, and as you say, a lot of policy decisions that have been made have masked over that lack of demand. As they're removed and the economy perhaps doesn't grow as quickly as possible, there could well be another sort of consumer demand failure. So let's sort of see what happens. At the moment, a lot of people in the UK are being buffered by social payments that may well disappear quite suddenly, and that will create quite a shock to the system again.
Yeah, that's totally true. So, but for instance, considering the panel also is composed by many agronomists, one of the questions that also went to open is that from the breeding point of view, which one of the most was one of the requirements from the audience once we prepared this session. I mean, how research centers or labs, if you fancy, are preparing with new breeding techniques in order to cope with this change in demand, because there's a lot of effort in order to make new products or food products more, let's say, high quality, high variety, high accessibility. But is this case of COVID-19 kind of make any change in the new plan for breeding of the future? I mean, because what is happening, for instance, is that because people will have less money to buy food, people will have access to less quality food. Therefore, the breeding process to make high quality food will be worthwhile in the end, or the breeding techniques should change to adapt to this new demand, which was something that Mariana was asking. So any comments about the experts from this side, then we move to the other part of the value chain. But I'm interested to see about the breeding from the breeding point of view.
Yeah, I can say something.
Yes, Rina, thank you.
Yeah, I think that the question raised that people have no money or have few money to buy food, so it's not compatible with the fact that they are demanding, for instance, organic food, because usually organic food is much more expensive than conventional food. Although my position on organic food is not very positive. I mean, I think that a good integrated agriculture is the best way to produce food, because it was demonstrated that organic agriculture can produce the efficiency of production of food by organic is very low. And so and there is a percentage of food that is destroyed by pests. So for sure, the price of this food is higher because of the market, but because also the production is of course less efficient. The production system is less efficient. Regarding the new breeding techniques, I think that there is a lot of attention and several research institutes are working on it. And the possibility to get very a rapid improvement of several traits of crops, it's feasible. One of the problem of the new breeding techniques is that the regulation is not yet very defined. Up to date, the new breeding techniques crops are assimilated to GMO, and the laws that regulate GMO are very strict. And so to bring to the market a new crop that is, for instance, tolerant or resistant to climate changes, for instance, to flooding or to drought, is very, very expensive. So only very big society or multinational can afford this effort. With the new breeding techniques, if the new breeding techniques crops are not considered as GMO, but they are considered as new varieties, such like as they were obtained as conventional breeding, the possibility to have new crops in few years is very realistic, because it's, I mean, the biotech process is not very difficult, and in few generations you can have a crop that is improved in some characteristic. So it's I know that, for instance, in the United States, some crops, some fruits, apple, that were obtained by new breeding techniques, they were put on the market without the compilation of the dossier like a GMO. But in Europe, they are still discussing, and up to now, the regulation is the same than GMO. So we are waiting for the EU to release a new regulation for the new breeding techniques crops, but up to now we have not in that. So I think that in the future, this is a very powerful. These are very powerful methods, and that can improve, really improve the efficiency of agriculture. And so also, for instance, the quantity that can be obtained using the same amount of land. So because there is also a shortage of land that can be used for agriculture. So this is another problem. So we have to produce the same amount of food or more amount of food on less soil, using less soil.
Okay, got it. So considering that, for instance, I would like to ask you, Sebastian Elgueta, how the food safety aspect can be maintained considering all this challenge, because of course we may face lack of people buying food, but also not that, but also people that cannot buy the right quality. So we might try to provide many types of solutions, but might not be affordable. So how we can maintain food safety with all this? So you as an expert in food safety, what you can tell us?
I think when we talk about food safety, we need to talk immediately about consumers and the behavior of consumers. We know that the access to the information, worldwide information, is very easy now with the internet and the social media. Under the scenario of COVID-19, we know that all the people is worried about what we are eating, which kind of pathogens we can have, or how many risks are with the food, mainly with the food produced in farms for fresh food. I think when we talk about food safety, we need to separate two main areas. First, the national production for the national consumption of each country in Europe and America, and for the exportation. We know in the case of Chile, the exportation of food is very important for our economy. We know that many countries around the world, they are facing different problems about the shipping, the production, many factors to deliver food to the market. For our country, it's very important to keep the balance because there is some noise. I don't know. Okay, can you hear me, Jorge?
Yep.
Okay, and I think this is very important for the exportation, that with all the technologies that we have, there is so many risks that we are discovering each year. Now we know that there is some probabilities that the virus can be in food. So all the food surveillance system in each country will increase the enforcement and the surveillance of the importation of each commodity. So it means this is more difficult situation for the exportation because the regulations are more powerful. It means that there is more restriction to send foods from one country to another country. In the case of the national consumption of each country, we know that the climate change is changing the behavior of many chemicals, and chemicals that they have more persistence in the soil, in the water, and in the production. So I think it depends of how the government is taking this scenario and how they can improve the restrictions of toxic pesticides, for example, and to analyze the risk in the population. In the case of Chile, we are working with different institutions that belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture to improve the national surveillance system and to improve the enforcement for the national consumption and for the international production. So I think when we talk about this, there are two important points. One is the behavior of the consumers, because everybody knows that organic food is very important. We were discussing in January with Chaufen and her group in the University of Plymouth. In England, it's not very significant, the market of organic food. People prefer cheaper food. And this depends on the economy of each country. In my country, in Chile, we know that organic food is better, but if you compare the price, it's more easy to buy conventional food, you know? So it means, I think the point to analyze here is the behavior of the consumption and the purpose of the production, for the national consumption or for the exportation of food.
Thank you, Sebastian. That was very useful, I think, very clear. So, Thomas from BDI, are you there? Thomas?
Yeah.
So one of the things that was just mentioned about food safety and all this aspect is about how we can really understand the consumer behavior. So wondering to know if in your agency in Rennes, in connection with the local government, how are you currently trying to understand or manage this local behavior for supporting the agricultural sector?
First of all, we decided 1 year ago to start an initiative called Ruc-Aps, gathering different sectors, but strongly commit to involve the citizen in this process, to adapt and even kind of predict together what will happen in the few years. So this this initiative will gather some different call for tenders involving association of citizens, for example, and they will try to think and analyze the different issues and concerns they have with align them with the sector priorities and sector constraints. So I think this is a wrong path to think that the consumer and the industry could work separately and one should adapt to the other, but we make the bet that we can find something to work on together. And of course, it's maybe not replicable in every region or in every country, but we try to involve as much as possible the much sector possible to make it feasible. And for example, there is a strong commitment on the local loops. So that's to say, focus also on the local production for local consumption. This is one way to adapt, but of course we also have a lot of exportation in agriculture, and for this it can be really difficult. But for many years we have struggled. For example, in the dairy sector, it's really difficult for them. So one of the I would say best choice we have is to follow the path of the improving our quality production toward, of course, I would say richer economy that are really focused on quality products and healthy food. So I think this is one of the response to these changes. Also, as I said previously, in some quantitative or extensive production, we will try to put the emphasis on the digital solution, but because we have also a strong ecosystem in digital and technology companies that can have some research and development project or pilot action or pilot project to be conducted on the territory. So that makes things kind of easier, even though it's sometimes hard to change habits, especially in the industrial process that have many constraints already on the market. So for them, we are trying to mobilize public funding and orient toward European funding to make them follow another path, that is to say, adopt digitalization and new technologies but it's really hard when the industrial process is for many years well implemented, and we have to find solution. And maybe one of the solution could be to focus on the SMEs, because they are the ones that are the most affected by the changes, but also the most promising in develop innovation solution and innovative solution for the future. So this is the kind of way we are trying to conduct in Brittany.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Very useful. Actually, regarding to that, I would like to now connect with Gabriel Saavedra from Temuco, because with him we are going to be working as well in a similar project where we're trying to support the local farmers actually to support their collective behavior to link with potential export, hidden capacities that they may have. But actually, this initiative started even before the COVID-19 and even before the Chilean crisis. So, Gabriel, how do you see the expectation about farmers being able to enhance their local behavior to think in some exportation possibilities?
Well, the program that we are developing, the idea was to insert new farmers, new lands to exports, especially processed vegetables for exports. That was the idea. Today, we don't know what will happen with the companies, with the processors. Perhaps they stop now because they didn't want to receive materials or crops with this problem. When you are probably you can be infected with the COVID, so we don't know what will happen now. Therefore, we transformed the program in a new program and in a new ways to reach the farmer with the information. Because before, the information to the farmers used to be direct, personally, with demonstration on field. Now we have to do that online with different techniques, with different programs, equipment, and different people. Because if we needed before just agricultural technical for spread the word, now we need engineers, we need IT people. So everything is different. Then we don't know, we don't know what to expect from the feedback from the farmers. Actually, we don't know the feedback. That feedback is absolutely uncertain. So we hope in a few months we can do something better, because it was like a boxing match, and one boxer put just a hook in your face, and you're still groggy. So we're start with the ammoniac trying to wake up. Hey man, wake up. We're in that stage. So I can't put much ideas on that, because all is unexpected. All what is coming is unexpected. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, in a month, or in a year. That's I can say, Jorge.
Okay. Thank you, Gabriel, for your input. So as you can see, because we're almost reaching the end of this session, I think that this has been very, very useful. We have captured a lot of inputs and comments. Of course, we talk about the consumer behavior, local knowledge sharing aspects. So we talk about knowledge integration, traceability, of course, is very important. But most importantly, try to understand what is the consumer behavior, which is clearly a very dynamic pattern. So probably this integration between certain type of knowledge, backgrounds, is, I would say, is one of the key aspects to cover with those global uncertain challenge. And I think that through this project, we are very in line with that, because we are connecting agronomists, engineers, economics, project management, institution, government, PhD students, so ICT developers. So I think that right now we're in a very good position to try to put all the ideas together to produce something. Now, of course, what is difficult is that the problems normally change a lot, and they're not very constant in time. So it's very difficult to put the effort in one problem when tomorrow is going to be another problem. Therefore, an holistic way of seeing things is very important. So before finish this session, I would like to share to you one of the recent outcomes of this project. So we just has published a book in the prestigious Springer editorial, jointly with Janus, and contribution from all the Ruc-Aps participants, which is about agriculture value chain, challenge and trends, academia and in academia and industry. This is our first volume, which capture our views since the last 2 years, more or less through 2 years. And now we are going to produce our second volume, and where every speaker from this session are going to be invited to contribute to our next volume, in where we want to address basically what are those challenges and requirements and potential solutions, considering the new global uncertainty trends, if you fancy. So the idea in trying to share knowledge is try to make it visible, and through those initiatives is basically what we want. So with this, I would like to thank you, everybody, for joining in this 1 hour and 40 minutes session. I mean, I fully understand that you're very busy. So I'd like to thank you for all your inputs, very valuable. This session was streamed on YouTube and also is being recorded. So all the inputs are going to be available soon in the website for the community. I really hope that we can use this conversation for further conversation in order to maybe try to apply for new grants together, trying to get more funding to try to support this agriculture value chain challenge, which seems that is the never-ending story. Happy that you provide your comments and input. I fully appreciate it. So if you have any additional comment, happy to keep talking, or if you want, we can end the session here in case you are too tired. It's entirely up to you. Whatever you would like to do, I would like to ask you if you can share your videos, your screen, because I would like to make a picture of all of us. The one that lasts till this session, of course, because not everybody could stay to this session. So you can say hi to the camera whenever you can. You can say hi to the camera.
Hi.
So thank you very much. Thomas, are you there? Is missing Thomas? Elizabeth, can you share your screen? Maybe not. Okay, anyway, can you say hi again, please? I'm going to make another picture. Thank you very much. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you to everyone.
For more ideas.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
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 Sorry, George, my camera doesn't work. So thank you very much, and see you soon. See you tomorrow for the presentation.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.